to welcome the Prime Minister, Mr. Joshi.
Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, Shri M.J. Akbar ji, Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs, Presidents, Prime Ministers, Ministers in the audience, Excellencies, distinguished delegates and guests from all over the world, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the second Raisina Dialogue, co-hosted by the Ministry of External Affairs and the Observer Research Foundation. If you recall, the dialogue first met in March 2016, and it would have been an understatement now to say that the last 10 months have been rather tumultuous. Be it technology, be it society, be it politics, disruption is a new watchword. The certitudes of the past few decades have been constantly challenged, and they've been called into question. But then we are all optimists assembled here, and we hope that this is a creative disruption. And we're gathered here to talk about the emergence of the new order from within the mists of this uncertainty. And we believe that while the shape of the institutions, the protocols, and the regimes that will claim the new world may be uncertain, what is certain is that this is a seminal moment. This is a moment that is going to shape the future of our shared planet for the rest of the 21st century. Respected Prime Minister, I recall that when we had called upon you to brief you about this platform, you had expressed great interest in our theme for this particular dialogue, the search for a new normal. In this uncertain world, the shifting dynamic between multipolarity and multilateralism places far greater urgency to find that new normal, which will push forward our shared global concerns for security, prosperity, and peace. Since May 2014, the world has been witnessing a new India, a more confident India, an India that is bringing a new dynamism and energy in its engagements with the world. In more ways than one, the spirit, sir, that you have infused into India's foreign policy really reflects the demographic essence of this nation, the vigor of its youth, of a nation invested in the future of the world. And in keeping with the same spirit, we acted upon your suggestion to bring in young minds with fresh ideas into this dialogue. This year, we have therefore introduced our Young Leaders Program as an integral component of the Raisina Dialogue. So our audience today also has 39 Raisina Young Fellows, all under 35 years of age, from 26 countries, representing between them every continent on this planet. And this is precisely what the Raisina Dialogues are all about the role of emerging global leadership in finding common pathways. So the Raisina Dialogue may be a platform designed, built, and located in India, but it is a platform that is dedicated to the citizens and the nations of this world. In that sense, it belongs not to us, but to each and every of the hundreds of international delegates who have traveled from 65 nations to assemble here. Therefore, it is all the more our special privilege that you are here to initiate the rich conversations that we hope to host over the next few days. Your assessment of the region and the global order will lay the ground for the deliberations to follow. We are honored and thankful for support and presence here this evening. And with this, Mr. Prime Minister, may I please request you to address this distinguished gathering that has come to hear you. The floor is yours, sir.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today, seems to be a day of speeches. Just a while ago, we watched President Xi and Prime Minister May speak. And there I am with my words. Perhaps an overdose for the intellectuals present here and a problem of plenty for the 24/7 media. It is a great privilege to speak to you at the inauguration of the second edition of the Raisina Dialogue. Excellency Karzai, Prime Minister Harper, Prime Minister Kevin Rudd, it is a pleasure to see you in Delhi. Also, a warm welcome to all the guests. Over the next couple of days, you would hold numerous conversations on the state of the world around us. You would debate its certainty and prevailing flux, its conflicts and risks, its success and opportunities, its past behaviors and likely prognosis, and its potential black swans and the new normals. Friends, in May 2014, the people of India also ushered in a new normal. My fellow Indians spoke in one voice to entrust my government with a mandate for change. Change not just of attitudes, but of mindset. Change from a state of drift to one of purposeful actions. Change to take bold decisions. A mandate in which reform would not be enough unless it transforms our economy and society. A transformation that is embedded in the aspirations and optimism of India's youth and in the boundless energy of its millions. Every day at work, I draw on this sacred energy. Every day at work, my to-do list is guided by the constant drive to reform and transform India for prosperity and security of all Indians. Friends, I am aware that India's transformation is not separated from its external context. Our economic growth, the welfare of our farmers, the employment opportunities for our youth, our access to capital, technology, markets and resources, and security of our nation. All of them are deeply impacted by developments in the world. But the reverse is also true. The world needs India's sustained rise as much as India needs the world. Our desire to change our country has an indivisible link with the external world. It is therefore only natural that India's choices at home and our international priorities form part of a seamless continuum. Firmly anchored in India's transformational goals, friends, India is pursuing its transformation in unsettled times, which is equally the result of human progress and violent turmoil. For multiple reasons and at multiple levels, the world is going through profound changes. Globally connected societies, digital opportunities, technology shifts, knowledge boom, and innovation are leading the march of humanity. But sluggish growth and economic volatility are also a sobering fact. Physical borders may be less relevant in this age of bits and bytes, but wars within nations, a sentiment against trade and migration, and rising parochial and protectionist attitude across the globe are also in stark evidence. The result, globalization gains are at risk and economic gains are no longer easy to come by. Instability, violence, extremism, exclusion, and transnational threats continue to proliferate in dangerous directions. And non-state actors are significant contributors to the spread of such challenges. Institutions and architectures built for a different world by a different world are outdated, posing a barrier to effective multilateralism as the world begins to reorder itself a quarter century after the strategic clarity of the Cold War. The dust has not yet settled on what has replaced it. But a couple of things are clear. The political and military power is diffused and distributed. The multipolarity of the world and an increasingly multipolar Asia is a dominant fact today. And we welcome it because it captures the reality of the rise of many nations. It accepts that voices of many, not views of a few, should shape the global agenda. Therefore, we need to guard against any inclination that promotes